Good day. This is the semi-monthly meeting for the Board of Assessors. We have Linda McCamick, Jason DeCipio as Principal Assessor, Bud Kelly as Chair. Mr. Sanford Wexler, our other board member, is on some personal business today. So we have a quorum, so we can proceed.
We can. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have for you first on our agenda the review prior meeting minutes. I have the both public and executive session here for you to review.
Thank you. Move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Quite a few stacks there today, sir.
I do. We have a little bit to get through, but we'll sure we'll be able to go right through it.
Yep. Warrants and commitments.
Warrants and commitments from some previously signed commitments. I have the commitment books for the motor vehicle commitments of 2024 and the first one of 2025. If we could just sign this.
Absolutely will. Tax day.
Yep, all cleared up. Did the quarterlies, did everything, I'm very happy.
Really good job.
Yeah.
You're good. You're exemplary. You're exemplary.
And my in-laws, I did theirs too.
Nice.
Very kind of you. I did speak to my grandparents today.
Oh, that's good. Get an extension?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
All
Always.
right, I just bought myself 6 months. It only
Yeah.
works once though, because then no matter what, it's always a year from now.
Yeah.
We're really close, actually. I just the closest I've been in years. Frankly. Sorry, this way. That's a big one.
Ah,
That's the first of 2025.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Sorry for this, guys.
That's it for warrants and commitments. I have abatements and exemptions. The first series of packets I have for you are for the February motor vehicle and boat excise abatements. I will give you the folder with the front cover sheet and the 5 packets inside.
Excellent. Sorry, just came in kind of quick on the job here. So.
You got it. Don't see anybody waiting for you.
Except
Other than
then no rush.
Okay. Excellent. So our cover sheet and 5 packets. 12. See that right there. Packet number 1. Packet number 2.
it warm in here or is it warm in here?
It's warm in here.
Okay. It's like, what's the heat on,
You're
90?
thinking I need to go downstairs and get some water right now.
Oh my God.
I just got done taking a 2-mile walk with my wife.
I just did a mile walk.
Here we go, see? That's also why you're warm.
Yeah, true. We just met at the courthouse and walked to downtown Newburyport.
That's lovely. Everything checks out, I'm gonna sign the cover sheet now as well. There you go. Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Thank you. Next are the motor vehicle and boat abatements for the month of March. This may be, the cover sheet may look a little confusing for you. It's when we process multiple packets in the same year. The total is that amount on the packet, but they were done in different
Batches.
assessor packet numbers,
Yep.
but they come together in one. So you'll see that when it's together. So you'll see the 915 and 918 together.
Yep, 917, 919.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, gotcha.
For those totals there.
Right.
That's why it's written
Understood.
like that. And so you'll see these
And those are
multiple.
individuals
You'll
there,
see
yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 packets in this.
Let's work hard today.
You know, with March being a big year, plus we had some, very late applicants for 3 years old, the 2022, but they made it just under the wire. So you're allowed to do it for up to 3 years.
So I'm starting from the bottom up here.
Books they no longer own.
No, a lot of them, they seem like they were from lease companies. I can't imagine
Ah.
somebody waiting 3 years from their lease company to get the money back.
Yeah, true.
I think that all the 2022 excise were from one
Gotcha.
particular lease company.
There you go. I didn't know I handed it to you upside down, and I apologize. That was lousy of me.
No, you're just making me work harder. How dare you?
Wacky packet. It's a wacky packet.
You probably just slide that off that staple sheet.
Yes. We have to sign on the second page of this. Third page of this, fourth page of this. Fourth page of this, got it.
If you will.
It's gonna,
We don't need it. We don't need it.
Let's just hope the area works good,
yeah.
not the heat per se. Thank you, sir.
All right, and then I have one more packets for you. We did these on April 1st, the last day to file for the
Take your time. Take your time.
Exemption packet.
Somewhere. Who's back up there?
Here's the cover sheet.
You're gonna have that back in house then.
Nope, that's the fruit packet. There it is.
There's two in here.
Yeah. That's the fruit packet. Let's see, 15, 6.8. It's between these. There it is. Let's sort it out after. Okay. So what we have here is the April real estate exemptions that were approved. And the 2025 personal property and real estate abatements that we discussed in our cast.
Good. Okay. Wow. Pile's getting smaller.
It is. Quick, more here. More quick things, we should get to that. All right. That's it for the abatements and exemptions. I have reviewed the 3 ABC applications. So we received them all back from everybody that has needed to apply. Really just wanted to discuss with you and the board. On the front of the 3 ABC application, it basically bulletin states that a to be completed true copy of the organization's most recent annual report to the Division of Public Charities, the Office of Attorney General, which is known as the Form PC, must be attached unless an organization is really determined. So, like, there are certain ones that are exempt. It states the most recent annual report. What's our tolerance for that? Is it 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? Really is a point of discussion with you. And I've talked to other assessors, and they don't really, I even talked to DOR Legal about this. There is no exact, because the law stating one thing under 59.5, and this, the clause, what is it, clause 5? Clause 3, I'm sorry, says, you know, it's supposed to be that years. Obviously, not everybody files their taxes timely. So they may, you know, you have to file your taxes in order to then file for the Form PC with the Division of Public Charities. What's our tolerance? Because what it would basically be if we say, well, you haven't returned a full and complete application,
Because you haven't given us last year.
you're now taxable. We're going to put them back on the rolls. So, how many years or how long of a period would be, as a general guideline, that you would think that we should, you know? So, like, there may be an organization that hasn't filed for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and I don't want, you know, like, it shouldn't be organization specific. If they're required to file it and they haven't, you know, what would be, you know? I don't know what, you know, how it works, the Department of, the IRS, you know, how much time you have to file a tax is how far back you can be as a charity. So, I noticed that some haven't filed in a couple of years, so I really wanted to get your opinion.
Because they have no income too?
So I think that if they fall under a certain amount, they may not have to. I think it's like $5,000 or something like that.
Can we give you an answer after we review a few of these?
Absolutely.
What do you think of that? Let's
Yeah.
review a few and see what our thoughts are.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Absolutely.
I mean, are a lot of them missing recent ones?
A lot of them missing results. So, previous to the internet and the website coming online, we couldn't ever check. We wouldn't know if they sent the most recent or not, like have they filed, have they have not. So we're able to actually now go online and find that information. So there are some. So I did print out for you the chapter 59. Third clause, and then where basically where I highlighted to the side of it, this section B, is where it states what they're supposed to, have. If you want to just take a quick.
So this is your summary page. This is
that's the
summary
law.
application? Okay.
Yeah, that's the application.
Yeah.
In the fourth paragraph down, where it's bolded, is when it says that they have to file the most recent, and they use the word recent 3 ABC.
Okay, well, so the most recent doesn't necessarily mean to be last year's if they haven't had
That's
it for
right.
3 or 4 years, so
But-
it still could be.
Yeah, and if you read the law, it kind of, that part that I highlighted, it does make you think that it's supposed to be last year's, but as we know, not everyone files their taxes as timely, so.
Well, it seems very curious. I mean, let's just think through this. I have a corporation. I have to pay my corporate excise every year. I have to do my report. If I don't do my report, my bank, which has I have an unsecured loan with, says, hey, you didn't file your report, which is a couple of clicks on the Mass Tax Connect and the DOR site, and William Galvin site. So I know there's a process for me that I have to make sure I keep it current in order to maintain my corporation with the state.
This is all state.
This is state, and we're just a community in the state. So it seems to me that them not providing it to us is the smaller part of the whole thing, because they have a bigger calling to report it to.
Right, to the
in
state.
order- To the state, in order to stay qualified as a charitable
Right.
entity,
So what if they don't file it, and then finally, when does the state say, okay, you're not a charity anymore?
Right, do they ever? I don't,
Right.
that's really
Right,
the question for the state when they get around to saying that.
right,
Because you can still file, I think it's different entities, right? One's federal, right,
Right.
with the 501c3,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
The Form PC is state, and then, then there's the local too. So it's really up to us as far as what we want, and then will the appellate tax board back our decision? That's
Right.
the other question, because that's the only person that we would answer to on this.
Right.
Because they would appeal their decision of going to taxes. So really, there were a couple applicants that didn't have everything, and one of them happens to be here, PETA, which is the Plum Island Taxpayer Association. And I sent them a notice, which I do to everybody that hasn't returned something timely, that, I needed a copy of that. And they haven't filed, I think the last year I could find, I didn't print it out, for their Form PC was 2021.
okay.
So now we're getting to that,
5 years.
they did provide us a copy of their EZ 990, but that's a federal return. And so that's what wanted me to bring up the question to the board. When would exceed the limit that we'd
So
be willing
if
to?
at some point the state said, you know what, the home property, whoever it is, says, you didn't do your taxes the way you should have done them, so we're taking you out of this. Do they then have to go back and pay all those back taxes to us?
No,
No.
no.
No, it's like your corporation full, it just goes away.
Yeah,
So then what's the difference? If we get them in 5 years or 10 years, and don't get them at all?
so
Because it's the state that has to shut them down, and not us.
but we exempt them locally
Yeah,
based on this information.
okay,
That's up to us, whether we want to grant it or not.
okay.
I would,
So really, I want to pose the question, it doesn't even have to be decided on now, you know, it can be
Yeah.
discussed again in the future. You know, the form leaves it a little ambiguous, it says most recent, but, you know, at some point, I think that most recent, you know, isn't very recent.
So does it say the most recent state return or just tax return?
Nope,
It doesn't- it
the Division of Public Charity, the Form PC.
Oh, okay, it does say the form piece.
Yep.
Okay.
true copy of the organization's most recent annual report to Public Charities Division.
And so I called Ken Woodland, who is the head of DOR legal. And basically, he agreed with, you know, what he says, and it's left a little ambiguous because obviously, you know, some people don't file every year. But I said, so what is it? Is it 1 year? Is it 5 years? Is it 50 years? I mean, give me a number.
Yeah, he would.
He pointed me back to the law, and the law says, the law does.
Good lawyer.
This
Doesn't
does.
go around in circles.
No, but the law doesn't state the same thing as the application. The law states that they're supposed to provide it every
Every
year.
year, right, but the state doesn't enforce that.
The state doesn't require them to, but we're exempting them locally
Right.
based on that information, so
Right.
it's up to us. So I just kind of wanted
Okay.
to at least develop a policy or, you know, a rule of thumb. You know, that doesn't,
Well, then
even if we
the
put it back on the
develop-
tax roll, that doesn't mean they can't appeal.
Right.
And they can go through that process, but we will be headed to the appellate tax roll most likely, because I can't imagine any charity, you know,
Right.
you know, once they go back on the tax roll, is not appealing, if they felt they had the
Right.
ground.
Right. You know, 2 years should be plenty to get your taxes done.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it's not even the tax, I don't even know what you need to provide to
Right.
the Attorney General's office.
Right.
But that's who you're
Provide.
filing, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it is, to be able to file your Form
2
PC.
years should be plenty of time.
And it's not like we're not sending them
It'll
notice.
give, and it'll give them a push to do it if we take them off the tax roll. You know,
Agreed.
put them back on the tax rolls.
I would hate for them to come off and go through the hassle of that, we should somehow make them.
But he
aware.
sent them
I
a
mean,
letter.
you can see,
Yeah.
I sent that certified, that
Yeah.
was what they got, and that's, you know, again, when anyone
So
does.
they're aware, unless they don't read.
They're very aware.
Yeah.
So we sent it out on,
I sent that
March
back in
5th.
March, they
March
returned
5th.
back just with the Easy 990, not with the other Form PC. And so, I have to believe that the state's website is also up to date, too.
Well,
So,
twenty,
well, it was up to date for my taxes, so.
yeah, I think that they are, and that's the Easy 990,
Yeah.
not the Form PC.
what's, they're 2023, and it's only, it's for 2026. So,
They're applying for fiscal 2026 in calendar 2025, which
Yeah.
you would file probably, you know, so the dates on that are 2023, but it goes from, they're using like a fiscal year on this tax thing too, I saw.
June,
July.
July, June?
Yeah. I'm
So
not
you
sure
were
as to,
saying-
yeah, I'm not sure as to why, so.
So they're currently in their 2025,
Or 2025.
2025,
Yeah. I
getting
mean,
into their 2026,
Yeah, so they file all the way through June of
24.
for
So it's less than a year.
2023.
So this is technically their most recent.
Yes, but that's the Easy 990, not the Form PC.
He wants the Form PC also.
Just because it's very specific on what it is.
Yeah.
The validity of it, or, you know, it's incorporated into the law, under 59.5, that, you know, clause 3. So,
So what are we doing with their application?
it's in, and, as of right now, I think that, you know, we'd have to act on it, you know, however it stands as of that date, but I think that, you know, we can, you know, grant an extension, as long as, you know, we want. Doesn't put a time limit on that.
So when you sent this letter to them on the 5th and you put it up as a cover sheet here, they replied with the information that they provided here.
Correct.
Showed that 2023, 2024 dates, but they did not give us they gave us the
Easy 990, not the Form PC.
So we're asking for both.
Yep.
Right.
Now, is that more than I mean, is the Form EZ proof enough?
No, it's two separate entities, one's federal, one's state.
Okay.
One's a tax return, and again, not that I'm trying to forensically dissect this, but this, you know, again, this is a copy, but this doesn't necessarily, you know, show me that it was prepared. I don't know if this was filed. Again, this is signed, but there's no signature on it, you know, this is just a copy of what was maybe filed. So,
Can you send him, say, thank you, I got what you sent me, but it's not what I'm looking for?
yep.
Could you, we'll
I
give you an
told- you know,
extension.
I can look at also what I can just simply do at this point,
No.
go back to the state's website, and if they don't have it, at some point, we should say,
Okay,
you're no longer exempt.
okay,
And so that is really what I wanted to get from you guys,
Yeah.
because obviously we're gonna tax them.
you're right.
Fiscal '26, you know, we'd have to do that as, you know, for this next year, so that's,
It'd be hit with a big tax law.
But I would really like for us to be able to give them a waiver.
and that's why, but again, that's why I'm trying
Yeah.
to, with everybody, there's,
Yeah,
we're not required to even send these, we send out the application. Then we don't get it back, we review them, we then send them a certified letter, listen, you need to provide this stuff. You haven't, you know, done that, and then at some point, you have to say,
yep.
do you, don't you? And that's
Right.
kind of what I just wanted to discuss with
Okay.
the
Okay.
board. So, for
You
right
make
now,
a change you can for right
they're,
now.
yeah, they're extended, and, you know, we'll kick this subject a little bit out.
Okay,
And
and
that's our
discuss it again.
stack of them.
Yeah, that's our stack.
Okay.
This is everybody for fiscal '26. Everybody else is pretty much, you know, in there. So we'll look at those dates, and if we want to look at them all specifically, I can get to all the charities and put those, you know, print out when the last time they
Okay.
filed their Form PC. All right, that was a lot of talking.
Public comment?
I do actually have a little correspondence.
Oh, guy over there, that guy in the third row.
yeah,
Yeah, so we got an email from Nicholas Moore. He is with My A Solar, and they're looking to put some solar together for some valuation for what is potentially going in as a solar project here on the landfill.
Okay.
So that's what they reached out to us, and so what they did is they said, can you give me some numbers? I said, okay, you know, what do you look for? So, you know, I told him really what I would be looking for prior to getting into this. I'd be looking for them to do a valuation study and appraisal of some sorts, and they said, well, we're really just looking to see about, you know, what, they're really just more ballpark. I really don't think we have enough information, but, so when I pushed back on him a little bit, he gave me some figures on their cost. Again, that's one formula that you would use
Yes,
to
yeah.
come up with valuation. And it says they're gonna cost them about $2.4 million to put this project out.
okay,
I don't know if cost is the best avenue for the valuation of a solar field, because it's, you know, it's very specific and, you know, unique, let's say. Really, I think I'd like to get from them, you know, to be able to provide them any type of numbers, whether or not we even want to provide one, you know, now before they do the project or not, because we're under no requirement to, like any type of projection, and we're not committed to that number in any way. I think I'd like to get from them some revenue projections, more than just the cost.
Why don't we look at the Borrego project and see what we can do?
Oh, so on average, you know, the way that they've allowed us, the communities are allowed to do pilots, has changed since those have come into effect. It can't be, you know, fixed to a payment or anything like that. It's going to be done on value. And I did look at those two, the Bashaw and the Borrego one.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I said, what are these? This was a 2.4 megawatt system on, this one here was paying about $30,000 a year. So that's why I kind of printed them out, and it would be based on size.
$3,000 a year on how many kilowatts?
2.4.
2.4.
And I could do that for you real quick.
Well, I'm trying, this
I
is
think it
not-
does tell you what the kilowatts
Well, it
are.
does appear module wattage and array nameplate rating.
right,
Gives you that. It doesn't really say
right.
2.4 million kilowatts anywhere. It doesn't really say.
Does it say anywhere in their email? I know we have that info somewhere.
I think that's, for me, just right off the bat, that would be a really cool.
Oh, yeah,
little map.
right down the,
No. 3 points,
that's per.
yeah, dollar for watt DC, because this is a DC current.
Hmm.
Price per watt up top says DC.
Yeah,
So
I'm just looking to see what their project size was.
project size up top here is 1,182 modules and 540 per module. So if we do 1182 times 540, that would give us a number, but I think that's that other
That
number.
number, right.
And yeah, so that would be.
So it's a 6.3 kilowatt system, right?
Kilowatt?
Well, no, that's only 638,280, so it's not even a million yet, so it's not is that 6.3 kilowatt, or is that 0.63 a kilowatt?
I think it's 6.32, 6.38, right? Wouldn't that be?
How many watts is 6.3 kilowatts?
The answer is 6,300 watts.
Okay,
So that's right.
so if 6.3 is 6,300,
Yeah.
then this would be a 638 million?
No.
No,
That's what-
630. So this is 630.
I'm sorry, per megawatt, not kilowatt. That's on the-
Megawatt, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the other project on Main Street
Yes,
is
correct.
12.5 per megawatt.
All right, so my immediate thing is to say, let's ask back to them.
Yep.
So that we can get that rating.
Yep.
So we can find our common denominator to
Yeah,
work backwards
so-
to get those.
It doesn't really give you what the valuation would be. So that would be one thing that I can ask for, just to double check. And I
Okay,
know
no,
you may have that.
and pause for 1 second, the only reason I say that is, because if we have the properties that are on Green Tree or Longbrook,
Yep.
that are half on Rowley and half on Newbury, and somebody has the land and somebody has the house, we always have to try to balance to make sure that those houses are comparable, whether we're
Because,
that they're in.
but that's where we're trying to come up with market value based on percentage of, the land
Right.
that's within the community. So,
Right. So that's the only reason I would say it. If let's do it by acreage instead.
Yep.
If they've got a half acre, they've got an acre, this is literally twice the value of this because it literally is producing twice the amount of energy.
Yep.
Where do they factor? They're 3/4 of an acre, so they're gonna be somewhere between the two.
Yep.
I just wanna make sure whatever formula we come up with looks appropriate when you look at what is currently in place.
Do you know how many acres of land this is?
Well, it's a town land too.
it is, it's on the, would be on the landfill.
As some people call it mountain chairs.
Yep.
They'll go up and down the hills? It'll be like a wavy thing?
Yeah, have you seen them along the highway? They've got them down on 24. You go along the highway there, and their cap has got a little bit of a waiver
Oh,
to
really?
it, and
Is that what
it
it's
follows the
Yeah.
follows it.
The landfill, yeah, those.
Yeah,
Huge.
it's domey. It's very domey,
Yeah.
and they probably would only be able to utilize maybe 60% of it
Mhm.
because of orientation.
Yeah,
You gotta get your orientation to the sun.
Yeah.
Baby.
I'm just trying to,
Well, whichever way we decide to do it, if you want to do the cost plus and construction cost, or if you want to do value on a complete field, obviously we'll have to determine what it is, but obviously with two existing systems in town, we certainly would want to make sure that we're
competitive.
competitive with
you
those.
have to be in line with that, but
Right.
again, they've changed the rules a little bit. I can
Understood.
forward you the IGR. If you want to take time to read through it, I can give it to you. Be glad if you make a copy of what I have here.
So then do you, the ones that are already in existence, will you change the way that you're?
No,
you
it's
can't?
already agreement, right?
It's an agreement
Yep, it's
ahead of
already
time, so
agreed
that's
upon
that.
for those probably 20 or 30 years, whatever.
Okay.
Which we did very well on
Yeah.
Borrego. We did very well. I remember we had a townsperson who was concerned that we
Yeah, I
left money on the
did,
table,
yes.
but we didn't. We actually.
And he
worked
came
very-
in, and, yeah,
It says agreement should fix values or formulas for determining values,
Mhm.
rather than fixing it for a payment. However, there's no statutory requirement to include the value upon which payments are based in the text of the agreement. So it doesn't have to be there. Even so, there should be a record basis for the valuation for the qualifying facility used in determining payments in lieu of taxes. Valuation must be approximately equivalent to full and fair cash value. So, values supporting the pilot payment should also be consistent with the requirements of law of assessing utility properties. That's why I said, we'd be looking for a valuation study or an appraisal, like we do, very similar to what we do on the 504s. Anyhow, so I think what I would like to get from them are some revenue projections and confirm about the size of the system.
Yes.
And we can see again what we're paying, approximately per DC on the other one.
Again, just trying to get the common denominator for the words that are being used for the other existing ones, kilowatt, if it's based on kilowatt, what are your?
It's megawatt,
Megawatt, kilowatt, whatever it is, so
Yeah.
make sure that it's the same language.
Yep.
So that we can at least work backwards at the start, and it may be way off, it may not. The other two are on private property though.
They are. So
This
the
one may
lane,
be on public.
Yep.
So there's a difference there, because they don't have to pay for the land.
well,
Right.
they would, once they occupy it as a lease, that would have to be inclusive with their pilot payment, because we
Right.
have to consider that, because
Well,
if we ever leased the old town hall to a for-profit company, they
Mhm.
would, that would be taxable.
Okay.
Okay.
So that'll have to be inclusive of the
What is
land.
the value of landfill these days?
Yeah.
I mean, as land, probably not very good, but
Yeah.
as a place to put solar panels, probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Other than they build, sports.
I was just about to say,
That's the
it's-
only thing that they do on them.
I was
Other than
gonna say
that, you don't want
sledding.
to dig down at all.
Yeah, no, sledding, I think sledding, stay up 6 inches above the soils and grasses.
Yep.
Okay, that's
All right,
good. What else?
So that is it. I just wanted to bring that correspondence to your attention, talk to you about what we'll be looking for from them in order to value that.
Okay.
Or give them a ballpark.
Okay, and then
that
looking
is-
at calendars,
Yep, we'll schedule the next meeting.
20th?
We're looking at May.
You want May 20th?
I just threw it out there. 27th after Memorial Day?
I think that's different.
I don't need to be a prima donna, but I've got so many balls in the air for the month of May.
Yep.
For me,
Say,
it'd be awesome if
why don't we
pushed
go
it to
6-2?
6-3?
Yeah, that's also good.
6-3?
6-3.
Yeah, we'll be good for a month and a half?
6-3.
It's up to him.
That's
Yeah,
what I just said.
We're good.
Okay.
After we get these processed, it's the end, and then we'll just be sending out preliminary bills. So,
Okay, I'm putting it in, so we are 6-3.
Yep. It's my brother's birthday.
Oh, very nice. 2 months after mine.
Hmm.
we just had a birthday.
I just had a birthday. You did.
Happy birthday.
Thank you much. I got to fly to Canada and visit our son.
Nice.
We did. Heard about that. That was great.
All right, so that's done. Do we have executive?
We do. If we could just
All right, so we're-
convene and not reconvene.
I'm going to make a move, we're going to make a, what am I making?
Motion.
Motion. I'm making a motion that we close out the public meeting and not return after our executive session. All good?
Good.
Oh, yeah? I got it.